We are recording.
Okay.
Okay, welcome to the Accessible and Inclusive Practice Learning Journey, and it's myself, Lillian and Ron who are going to be taking you through this. One of the first things to be aware of is the resources we use. As teachers, we very often have a text-based monoculture. People read things and then they write about the things they've read. And one of the things we're going to explore in this is how different types of media, like audio, video, interactivity, images, etc., can give very different kinds of benefits to students with different kinds of disabilities. So resources are really important.
Yeah, so, I think one of the ways that people can consider inclusive practice is not panicking about having to recreate or to create something from scratch, but to kind of use resources they already have. So we've talked about, Alistair, being able to use one resource, but the moment it's digital, it's the way you plan your activities around a digital resource, even like a Word document. It doesn't have to be anything sophisticated. But with something like an essay, if the idea is that people are to engage with a model answer essay, giving them the Word version of it so that it's been changed about, and then the activity is about them piecing it back together in a model, so they're actively thinking about the form and the function of the essay. Suddenly that makes it more inclusive because you can interact with it in a different way from a handout.
That's a nice example because it means that instead of somebody with dyslexia, for instance, worrying about spelling or worrying about the physical process of typing, which for somebody with dyspraxia will be really perhaps quite time consuming, all they're really thinking about is the thinking and not having to worry about the mechanics of, have I got enough words on the page? So I think resources and the activities you do with those resources are quite critical for inclusive practice.
I think also the tools that you use, Alistair, are an important factor, aren't they? And a lot of work goes into making, for instance, the virtual learning environment, whichever virtual learning environment is used by the organisation. A lot of work goes into making the kind of core parts of those accessible. But of course, if you then fill those spaces with non-inclusive, non-accessible resources, then you're kind of devaluing all that work. But likewise, the pre-preparation, the technical side of those environments can only go so far because they're empty until you start putting that content in. So that's where that kind of inextricable link between the pedagogy and the technical side and the kind of everyday production and tools that people use are all part of that kind of holistic solution, rather than, there's a technical bit on that side and the pedagogy bit on that side.
And we'll bring all of those different things together in this learning journey.
Yeah, and it can seem very technical at times, but actually with good choices of tools, you can, to a certain extent, you can get away without having to be too concerned about the technical side, can't you?
The other thing is obviously when tutors think about creating resources that are born accessible, then if they've got it right from the start, then you're not having to kind of think about adapting as much because it's actually adaptable from the very outset. So making sure that they check their Word and PowerPoints to make sure they're fully accessible, they've used titles, they put in alt tags, they're using outlines and styles. All this good stuff means that we can expand its use from being a document to be read to something that's actually a little bit more inclusive from a pedagogy point of view as well.
Indeed. And we cover all of those in this journey, and so look forward to doing the journey with you. Thank you very much. Great. So we can stop that then.
That's going to end up in the